Hello everyone, my name is Uchendu Eugene Chibu and I would like to welcome you again to my outbox. Today I would like to talk about something that is very important to all academics. In fact, everyone that has some work life. But of course you would know that most of my talk or chat with you would always come from the academic perspective. And that's because my work life is around very much around academia. And my previous podcasts, I talked about what academics do, the series of roles that academics play as lecturers and beyond. But today, I would talk more about myself, what I do, and how I do it in terms of the activities, productivity, as well as the stress involved in my work and how I manage or avoid them. So, I'm a lecturer, a professor in land administration at the Namibia University of Science and Technology, and I do a lot of things. For those of you that are in the universities, you would know that working in the university involves quite a lot of issues, but lecturing is a key part of it, so I do lectures. And I enjoy doing lectures, probably because it gives me an opportunity to be around the younger people, the future generation, if you allow me to put it that way. And it's always inspiring to sit out there lecturing students and knowing that within that crowd there would be a president someday in future. Within that crowd there will be a minister sometime in future. Within that crowd there will be business moguls, entrepreneurs, mayors, very important people in that crowd. And of course, there would also be very unimportant people in that crowd, when we look at it from the perspective of the future. But when you look at governance from the perspective of leadership and followership, then you understand that there shouldn't be anything like very important or unimportant. So I hope me saying it, you understand the perspective that I'm coming from and, the context. But generally, being in a class, teaching students, especially the first year, second year students, it's always interesting to watch and, actually observe that the future is in the hands of these young ones. And because of that, I respect lecturing. I do my best possible to enjoy it. Remember, I said enjoy. Sometimes someone said to me, you have a passion for it. I'm not sure, I don't know, but one thing that I do know is that when I'm there, there's expectation, and I try to treat my students with as much respect as possible, knowing that they are the future. So I enjoy lecturing. And another thing I do is that, of course, I do research. And research is not usually a classroom work. Research is an office work. Right now I'm in my office. It's an office work as well as a field, a field work. And so I enjoy that as well because it gives me the opportunity to investigate. It gives me the opportunity to get sometimes, a direct sense of contribution to the society. I say direct because teaching is very much indirect. You teach and you hope that the students will learn, and of course the students learn variously from different teachers, different lecturers, and of course life situations. But when you teach, you're hoping that you make some level of contribution. And so in my teaching, actually, I always have to bring in quite a lot of life lessons in my teaching. So it's not always very direct because it's a conglomeration of various information that students have to deal with. But the idea that someone from that class would be someone in future in itself is an indirect contribution. But when it comes to research, research can be indirect as well. But I very much, love to engage in research that are much more direct. Research that involve, that can be applied through community, community service. Like I mentioned earlier on, I always liked my viewers to understand this podcast in itself is a community service. That's the way I view it. And so research, it's a big responsibility, but I also see it as, if you allow me to put it this way, I see it as an opportunity as well. So in academia, I view it, there's the institutional angle, the community angle, and then there's the individual angle. We do research, obviously, for community, because as universities or players within universities, we have to contribute to society, because by doing that, then university as well becomes a socially responsible institution. But there's also the individual aspect that comes with both responsibility and some level of vanity as well. For instance, doing research, of course, leads to gathering new information, and then there's a need to disseminate that information. And publications gives us an opportunity to disseminate the information, whether it is newspaper publication, magazine publication, academic journal publication, commission reports by various institutions, website publication. There are various ways that we can publish what we do. But publishing allows a researcher, in this case myself, to append their name to what has been written. Of course, that comes with some level of responsibility. If you produce trash, your name will be appended to it. Of course, universities will not take responsibility for it. Even when you do research and publish commission reports, you would see institutions like UN agencies, the World Bank, national institutions like ministries, they would always put a disclaimer that the information produced is not, that they are not accountable to it, is always that of the author or co-authors. And so one has to do the best not to publish something that will not be useful to society. And that's why I use the word trash. Forgive me if you don't like that word, but some publications can be that way. But, and some, it's trash when it's wrong. And some are not really, you can still do a good publication, but then it needs to be further promoted for it to, create some impact or have some multiplier effect. But the reality is that in most cases, we do our best to publish what will be useful to society. And from my side, when I append my name to it, of course, it gives me some level of visibility, and so the university benefits, the individual benefits, because when you append your name as an individual, you get visibility. The university, which is your affiliation or other institutions, will benefit by also having their identity attached to it, and the society would benefit if it is a research that would be beneficial to society. And so research is something I enjoy to do. And of course, if you're someone who is nosy, you want to know what is happening in a certain situation, community, on a subject, then you might probably like research. Other things that I do is that I mentor students and I mentor staff. Now, it's a responsibility. I strongly believe there is a big social responsibility that every university staff or academic like myself, at least at my level, should be doing that. I do my best to mentor others, but I have to be clear, you mentor those who want to be mentored. But at some point in life, I've started having people come to me and say, look, I want to learn what you're doing. I want to know more about what you're doing. I want to know it because I want to be like that or do similar things. And to do that, you're going to have to mentor them. So that's in one way. But why do I even have to do that? That's because myself also, I have mentors. I'm a mentee to certain people, and there are a lot of them around the world, and I hold each of them very, very, very dear to the development of my career and to my knowledge building and learning as well. I'll give you an instance. Those of you that are in the land sector, academically, you would know individuals like most are retired. Professor Holger Mager from the Technical University of Munich, Professor Stig Enemark, Aalborg University in Denmark. I can name, I don't want to just keep dropping names. There are several of them that, that are academics that I consider as my mentors, and I submit to them and try to do my best to learn from them. Within the international development sector, in fact, I also have to mention someone like Professor Jaap Zevenbergen. I've followed him for a long time and try to learn a lot from him. And now there are lots of others that I haven't mentioned. But one thing that is unique about this is that, yeah, there are many, but for each of these people, there's always something that's unique that I want to learn from them. And when I'm, in need of knowledge, I run to them. So that's for that on the academic level. On the international development level, I've done a video interviewing Mr. Geoffrey Payne of Geoffrey Payne Associates. He's someone I consider a mentor. Individuals like Dr. Clarissa Augustinus, who's the founder of the Global Land2 Network, and also is someone that's that helps me a lot. And so I have mentors in academia, the development consultancies sector, the political areas, as well as the just life course areas, including people from my family. I don't want to keep dropping names because I haven't actually asked for most of them. I haven't asked for their permission. When I arrived at NUST, I also had to embrace new mentors. So mentorship is something that I benefit from all the time. I have a traditional ruler here, in Namibia, who is my mentor, retired Associate Professor Kachira Muchinde. So I have a lot of them. So what I try to do is the younger ones, I also try to pass on what I get from others who mentor me. I try to pass the knowledge down, and many a times I also try to introduce them to these people. So mentorship is a going concern for me. It's something that I have to, I play both roles, one as a mentee and the other as a mentor. And so students come up to me, I try to counsel them. I try to help them if they have problems. But my approach to mentorship here in my university at NUST, Namibia, is to create a research group where I actually have to work with people every day. In this research group, you have professors, you have people who are most are younger than me, few, one or two are older than myself. from the industry, from the traditional authority, from studentship as well as from colleagues. And so we all work together. And in this research group, I mentor them. And in the process, it is not a one-way thing, because by having a group and working as a group, even though I consider myself to be a mentor, because that allows me to know how to comport myself, and also I'm challenged to always keep learning, because now I have people around me that I know that they might not, when they do not know, they will have to come to me, and so I have to keep updating my own knowledge. But it's not a one-way thing, because by having the group, I'm also able to learn, because now you form this, there's this, social jove around the interactions that also allows that when I do not know, then I can ask without having to feel somehow that I shouldn't be asking. I'll give you an instance. I'm a Nigerian, born in Nigeria, grew up in Nigeria, so I'm everything Nigerian. But then I started moving around, and today I'm in Namibia. So obviously, even with the sometimes wealth of knowledge that I would have from having lived in various places and having studied in different universities during this period, really do not know a lot about Namibia. Socially, maybe yes, but definitely not knowing it more than the average Namibians. And so when it comes to actual academic work, research and writing, you find out that you have to bring in everything. The social, as well as the core technical knowledge. And the people around me definitely help with that. Also, having a research group means that I work with people who assist me. Choose what you want to call them. Research assistants. They work and assist the departments. And by me being their mentor, they also assist me. And that means that I have many hands. I can work with people. When I do not know, I can tell them, do you know? And they say that if they say they do not know, I say, go and do a research. So they do a research and bring the output to me, and I can use it to work on whatever I'm doing. So I'm trying not to be very academic here, because whereas this podcast has an academic tint to it, but my viewers are supposed to be, social beings other than just academic beings. And so what I've tried to do is let you know that there's also the responsibility of me having people who are eager to learn from me and who I have to, help in their growth, both in terms of knowledge and career. And that's what I call mentorship. And for me to do that, I have other wells from where I draw my own water from, and those I get from my other mentors. So, and by being a mentee to others and having mentees, I'm able to be on those two sides. But this is a very big responsibility. I have to say this. And as I'm growing in my career, I have mentees all over the world. All over Africa, Asia, Europe, and probably not Australia yet, but North America, definitely. And this podcast is my way of stepping out to reach all those people who are not within my physical research group at Namibia University of Science and Technology, and also interact with them. I hold meetings many times with those that I'm mentoring one-on-one, and but the podcast at least allows me to express myself, and so they can buy in and critically observe and hear the things I have to offer. So as an academic, mentorship is key to that. Talking about publication, I don't want to go too much into that. I think it can sound a little boring for those who are not within academia. But there's also other things that are related to publication that many do not see. For instance, I have to do a lot of reviews. I think that I have done more than 1,500 reviews, of which I believe more than 1,000 are verified if you check my status online. A verified review would be the reviews you've done that other neutral institutions have assessed and identified as reviews. And when I talk about reviews, reviews are what we do through in the publication process. Experts have to read other people's papers and endorse whether they are publishable or not. And in the process, I do quite a lot of those. And obviously, I don't think I have much option, because right now I am the editor-in-chief of the journal Land Use Policy, which, by the way, I believe is the best journal, within my area in academia. And I'm also the associate editor of the journal Sustainable Resource Management, and that's Frontiers. I belong to other journals as well, so it's something that I have to do, as it allows me to learn, because by reviewing, it means that I'm able to see these papers before they even get published, and even have the honor of critiquing them in terms of acceptance and rejection, accepting it with major revision, with minor revision, and so on and so forth. And so we do quite a lot of this. A lot of my weekends when I'm bored, I get invitations and I have to do that. So academics do that, and I do quite a lot of it, and I take it quite very seriously. So perhaps I'm going to have a lot of time to talk about the things that I do, but I must tell you, I belong to a lot of networks, and I also lead networks. For instance, the Global Land 2 Network is a global network that is hosted at the UN Habitat, with an objective of securing tenure for all, around the world, especially in the developing countries. In this network, I happen to be the co-chair of the Research and Training Cluster. And my institution, NUST, is a member. Of course, that's the reason I'm in the network. But what it means is that because it's a network of nearly 90 institutions across the world, it means that I have access to various individuals and various institutions from where I can draw knowledge, as well as academic collaborations and international development collaborations. I have the honor of also being the coordinator of the Network of Excellence on Land Governance in the Southern African region, which is an African Union endorsed network that is spread across various regions of Africa, and of course facilitated and coordinated directly from Addis Ababa by the African Land Policy Center. With this, in the Southern African region, it means I have access, and every other individual in this network have the same access. But speaking about myself, I have access to about 30 institutions, including 32 institutions actually, including universities and civil society organizations and other institutions, just within my region. And outside my region, I have access to nearly 100 universities from across Africa. And this means that I have institutional access, as well as individual access to specific researchers and professors like myself and lecturers, and that allows for interaction. And this has been made possible by the German government, who's been also funding this network through the GIZ under its SAGA project. Just want to put it out there that these are not the only ones. I have other networks that I also belong to, and I have to also be on the board of implementation committees at the national level, at least in Namibia and some other countries where we deliver advisory work. And these are not paid jobs, by the way. These are the interactions that one tends to get when you are working at this level. And I would encourage people to belong to networks as well, because the network gives you access to institutions, to individuals, and when it does that, it also means you have access to ideas from various parts of the world and various parts of Africa in the context of NELGA that I mentioned, and of course globally in the context of the Global Land 2 Network. So I'm very much involved in all of these. I think I'm going to stop here. When it comes to the things that I do, there will be time to talk more, but I just want to let people out there who do not, their daily functions are not hinged around academia, to understand that in academia, what we do isn't just lecturing and research. There's more to it. There are also consultancies that one has to do when they're available, and and more. Now you would ask me now, I've been talking quite a lot about things that I have to do as a professor or lecturer in my university, but how do you get along doing these things without breaking down? Because it's quite a lot. So that brings me to stress. There's a lot of stress in academia. A lot of my colleagues have back pains, some waist pains for sitting too long. Many of us are pregnant because we sit a lot, we eat, we sit, and we keep building muscles or fat around our abdomen, and the consequence is we begin to look shapeless. And so it comes with other stress that are not physical, having to meet deadlines and struggling to meet deadlines, family, life, work, balance issues. So academia is stressful. But it's stressful because it is a conglomeration of too many responsibilities. Some are able to pick what they can do and ignore others, but it depends on your level. People still have to be, okay, for instance, I didn't mention, I also happen to be a director of a center, a research center in my institute, and many academics have to do all of these and be head of departments, deans, deputy deans, deputy head of departments, coordinators, center heads, research group leaders, and so on and so forth. So it's quite a lot that one has to do. But there are some that you can't avoid. I mean, if you're employed in the university, you have to teach. You have to be a good member of the community. You have to do administration. You have to do research. You have to, in fact, many a times you can't avoid most of these things. When you avoid them, it's because you've not been identified to be the responsible person, or that responsibility has not been allocated to you by your administrative superior, or your head of department or dean or anyone who has that responsibility to do that. So it does come with stress, high blood pressure, they call it the silent killer, and many other issues that people have. Now, let's be clear, I'm not trying to scare you, from getting into academia. What I've tried to do here is tell you the responsibilities and then the stress that comes with it. And I think there's every work comes with some stress, whether you're a lawyer or you're a doctor or an engineer or wherever, you're a bricklayer, a taxi driver. So there's joy and stress in every work that we do. I've mentioned some of them, and whatever you do, you need to, understand the stress that comes with it and find a way to manage it. That's what allows you to be more productive. And all I've tried to do in this episode is give you an idea of what I do as as an academic, and now it comes with stress, and I would like to show you how I manage my stress. So considering the issues of deadlines and sitting down and having to read, write, I don't even think I talked a lot about that, but these things are quite stressful. So what I do is that, you can see what my office looks like. I try to surround myself first and foremost with inspiring, let me put it differently. I try to create an inspiring environment. I have games in my office. For instance, I have chess, and I can play board games if I have to, and obviously not during work hours, but I spend a lot of time in the office, so I can choose to play a board game. I can choose to play darts. I play darts in the office as well. I have a putting range in my office. For those of you that play golf, you would know what it means to putt. And so I have a putting range, which I hope you can have a look at it. On Sundays, I play golf on the course, and I wouldn't say that I'm one of the very good players, but the good thing about golf is that by the time I play 9 holes, 18 holes, if you do not know a little bit about golf, so please check it out. It's a game of targets. You hit the golf ball from a long distance, and you have to target a hole that you do not see, but which you can only perhaps identify using a flag. And when you get to close to that hole where the ball should enter, it is called a green, and you have to do some short puttings to get in there. And so I have a putting range in the office while I play golf as well as one of my pastime, and I do that once a week on Sundays, and I do it for the fun of it. And during golfing, I don't drive cars. I'll try to walk. And on an average day in golfing, I walk at least 20 to 30,000 steps. I have given you that long range because sometimes it can be between 20 to 25, depending on how much I have to go around looking for my ball. Because when you hit this ball, sometimes it gets lost and you have to look for them. So I burn at least 4,000, 5,000 kilocalories when I play golf. So I do that once a week, and the fun of it is also the meeting and networking that I engage with when I'm with fellow golf players, and it takes my mind off work. And then I generally do not drive, so I don't have a car, so I walk a lot. And of course, if I have to go to places, I know how to get a cab or get myself transported. But in general, I do not drive, so I spend most of my time walking. Even sometimes I have to take a walk to get response to emails, like I said, but I do those things on purpose because I want to live an active lifestyle. Like I said, it becomes a little botchy, when you have to eat, sit, and eat, sit, and eat, sit without walking around. And I do not have quite a lot of time to go to the gym. So walking is a key part of what I do. And these things all help me, to stay fit as much as possible, both physically and mentally. And I would encourage anyone who finds him or herself in a situation or their situation like mine, to encourage to live an active lifestyle. So this is how I deal with stress. But most importantly, I also wear a smartwatch. I try to use my smartwatch. I have the Samsung smartwatch, which actually tracks my movement and tracks my my the calories I burn, and as well as my sleep and my stress level. And it does alert me when the stress is too much, and I know what to do. In fact, it tells you what to do. So those of you that have smartwatches, whether they are Huawei, Samsung, Apple, name them, they all have these functions, and you can use them as a reminder, because as our people like to say in West Africa, life has no duplicates, and one has to live this life once. And so that's how I deal with stress. So I know this has been more like a monologue with me just talking, but you can turn it into a conversation if you can tap that button and subscribe, like, and comment, because I'd like to know what your experience is in terms whether you're an academic or non-academic who is working in other industry or sector areas that are related to where I am. So I would encourage you to engage. I also would like to thank all those of you that have subscribed my previous episodes. I wish you can keep doing the same, and I'll be putting them out. For today, I know I've said quite a lot, and I would like to stop at this point, but I also want you to know that there are lots that I didn't say. Academia is a lot of things. I didn't talk about things like sourcing for fund and all that. I didn't talk about issues about academic administration, which we actually do. The emails you have to read, many times you come to work, you have to take 5 hours to read emails, and by the time you're done, the emails are building up again. So there's a lot that I didn't talk about, but I hope that I've been able to touch on the ones that at least people can take home, and hopefully someday I would make a big meal of a specific topic that I have not discussed. So I'd like to thank you all again for coming in to my outbox, and I appreciate what you've been doing over the last week. I've been able to get quite some good subscribers, and some people have been open enough to give me likes and comments, and I hope you can do the same. So I'd like to stop here. Thanks very much, and please do not forget to tap down there and subscribe, also like, and please even more turn my monologue into a conversation by commenting down there. Thank you.